Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Shoot the Messenger. Today we're doing this Hillary Clinton stuff. Her and her husband both got subpoenaed over the Epstein files and they did not show up. Yes, you heard me correctly. They both no-showed their subpoenas. Did they go to jail? Nah, because that's not how it works in big politics. They do whatever they want. Doesn't matter what side you're on. And you'll know from getting to know me, I don't pick sides. Just because I don't like Hillary doesn't mean I like Trump. Just because I don't like Trump doesn't mean I like Hillary. That's where a lot of you weirdos lose me. Okay? I don't have to pick a side. I know they're all in it together. So let's see what this clown has to say.
Witnesses Counsel has something she would like to state before we get started today.
First of all, good morning and thank you. I just wanted to state for the record that we had requested that there be amplification so that the witness both could hear the different members who are here, and certainly you all as you all are asking questions, but also so that the witness herself could hear. In a construct where you all now have videotape, it seems as though being able to provide that amplification to ensure we're heard would be relevant and important.
And I know they're replacing everybody nowadays with body doubles and all that, but just real quick, I just want to acknowledge that ain't Hillary. But let's continue.
We recognize that there was concern, at least initially expressed to us, that the court reporters might not be able to conduct their duties efficiently. They indicated that they could do so, so that was not actually an issue. And I think in the end, what we wanted to ensure is that there's clear amplification, not only of our own witness, but of all of the members who have traveled so far, to be able to ensure that everyone could be heard and that clear answers are given to questions.
And I want to again state for the record, the microphones provided by the Clintons became an issue for the audio recording. So we want crystal clear audio and visuals of today's proceedings. So the microphones were removed. We'll take into account tomorrow. And I know many of us are hard hearing, so we want to make sure that everyone speaks loudly and all the questions are clearly understood. We'll do everything we can to accommodate that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Nothing further. We'll begin. Good morning. This is a deposition of former Secretary of State Hillary R. Clinton conducted by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform under the authority granted to it pursuant to House Rule 10. Accordingly, House Rule 10 grants the committee broad jurisdiction for the committee to conduct investigations of any matter at any time. On July 23, 2025, the Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform voted by voice to approve a motion directing the chairman to authorize and issue a subpoena to you for a deposition. On August 5th, 2025, Chairman Comer issued a subpoena for Secretary Clinton to appear today for a deposition in furtherance of the committee's investigation into the actions and investigations of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell. I will enter the original subpoena and corresponding cover letter from August 5, 2025, as well as the additional subpoena from December 15, 2025, determining a new date as Exhibit 1.
Excuse me, counsel. For the record, I want to put in one sentence from the cover letter.
Now, before she continues with all this stuff, I don't know what she's going to say, but everyone needs to remember she is not known for telling the truth, okay? She has been a liar her entire career. She lies about everything. Okay? Remember all of her deleted emails from the Wikipedia stuff? She literally lies for a living. So remember that when you're watching this.
To the subpoena, and that's the chairman's own definition of the scope of this investigation. He wrote, and I quote, "It's to conduct oversight of the federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally, and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell." Thank you.
As stated in the email correspondence with counsel for Secretary Clinton in negotiations for the scope regarding today's deposition, the scope agreed upon by counsel for the committee and counsel for Secretary Clinton stated, and I quote, "As conveyed to you in a letter from the chairman yesterday morning that you agreed to, the committee could not accept your proposed limitation on the scope of President Clinton's testimony. Accordingly, pursuant to the committee's investigation into the alleged mismanagement of the federal government's investigation into Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell, the circumstances and subsequent investigations of Mr. Epstein's death, the operation of sex trafficking rings and ways of the federal government to effectively combat them, ways in which Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell sought to curry favor and exercise influence to protect their legal activities, and potential violations of ethics rules related to elected officials, the committee will ask President Clinton and Secretary Clinton all of its questions regarding Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, including, but not limited to, the personal relationships between the Clintons and Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, and the ways in which Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell sought to curry favor and exercise influence, as well as the operation of sex trafficking rings and the ways for the federal government to effectively combat them without the proposed limitations on scope sought in your January 31, 2026 letter.
I will enter as Exhibit 2 the correspondence between Chairman Comer and counsel for President Clinton and Secretary Clinton. This correspondence includes the following letters. October 6, 2025, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. October 22, 2025, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. November 3, 2025, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. November 21, 2025, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. December 10, 2025, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. December 15, 2025, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. January 3, 2026, letter from David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Garcia. January 8, 2026, letter from Chairman Comer to David E. Kendall. January 12, 2026, letter from Ashley Callan and David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer. January 13, 2026, letter from President William J. Clinton and Secretary Hillary R. Clinton to Chairman Comer, encompassing attached declarations under the penalty of perjury of both President Clinton and Secretary Clinton. January 20, 2026, letter from Ashley Callan and David E. Kendall to Chairman Comer. January 31, 2026, letter from Ashley Callan and Catherine M. Turner to Chairman Comer. And February 2, 2026, letter from Chairman Comer to Ashley Callan and Catherine M. Turner. The committee originally noticed the deposition on December 12, 2025 for Secretary Clinton to appear before the committee on December 18, 2025. I will mark that notice as Exhibit 3. I will mark as Exhibit 4 the postponed notice date December 16, 2025 for a deposition of Secretary.
So one thing I think that's been bugging me lately about all this Epstein stuff and kind of the back and forth between the left and the right is when you see somebody like her get subpoenaed, you're going to see all these weird comments like, what about the orange man? How come we're not doing it to Donald Trump? How come we're not blah, 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 blah? It's like so weird. It's like, it's instead of having everyone be held accountable for all the crimes they've done, everyone's so stuck on Trump that they forget everybody's in on it. So if someone was to say, oh, screw Hillary, screw Bill, screw Trump, screw all that, they're just going to go, yeah, screw Trump. You're going to be like, no, that's not what I said. I said, screw Bernie Sanders, screw Hillary Clinton, Bill, they're all douchebags, Trump, they're all bad. Like, yeah, screw Trump. And you're like, so there's this weird delusional group out there that can't think for themselves at all. They're programmed and they're having a hard time getting out of their little bubble, you could say, because you can tell they're brainwashed and they're stuck in a loop, like a closed loop, and they don't know how to get out of it because from the Epstein files that everybody's involved, including Trump, everybody. But majority Democrats in the Epstein files. So anybody that wants to just point fingers at Trump is definitely not reading the Epstein files, because 99% of the people in the Epstein files are liberals and Democrats. That's just the truth.
Secretary Clinton to occur on January 14, 2026. Secretary Clinton did not appear for her deposition on January 14, 2026. I will enter as Exhibit 5 the transcript for the deposition for which Secretary Clinton failed to appear. The committee noticed a committee business meeting on January 14, 2026 to consider the contempt report for Secretary Hillary R. Clinton to be held on January 21, 2026. I will mark that notice as Exhibit 6.
See, that's a great example. So she no-showed her subpoena, so she should definitely go to jail for that. As if Trump did the same thing, he should go to jail for that. But if you were to ask some liberals that, they'd be like, no, she doesn't have to go, but he should go, right? So I'm hoping at some point that people can learn to think for themselves and not be so, I guess, dumb and naive about everything, because then we'll be able to move forward as a country.
I will mark as Exhibit 7 the contempt report for Secretary Hillary R. Clinton, voted favorably out of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. I will mark as Exhibit 8 the final roll call vote sheet on favorably reporting the contempt report of Secretary Hillary R. Clinton out of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. The committee noticed today's deposition on February 19, 2026. I will enter the notice for this deposition as Exhibit 9. I will enter as Exhibit 10 an email thread between Committee on Oversight and Government Reform staff and counsel for President Clinton and Secretary Clinton. The email thread confirms the date, time, and location, among other terms, of today's deposition. Additionally, this email thread clearly states the agreed upon terms, including but not limited to video recording, no predetermined time limit, and scope. Can the witness please state her name for the record?
Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you. My name is Billy Grant. I am the Deputy Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman James Comer. Under the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform's rules, you are allowed to have counsel present to advise you during this deposition. Do you have counsel representing you in a personal capacity present with you today?
I do.
Will all counsel please identify themselves for the record?
David Kendall, Williams and Connolly, LLP.
Catherine Turner, Williams and Connolly, LLP.
Cheryl Mills, counsel to the secretary.
Thank you. For the record, starting with the majority staff, can the additional staff members please introduce themselves with their name, title, and affiliation?
Jack Emmer, Chief Counsel for Investigations for Chairman Comer.
Peter Spector, Deputy Director of Oversight for Chairman Comer.
Daniel Ashworth, General Counsel for Chairman Comer.
Ryan Giacchetti, Chief Counsel for Chairman Comer.
Will Harness, Professional Staff Member for Chairman Comer.
Emily Feierabend, Counsel for Chairman Comer.
Melvin Soto, Digital Director for Chairman Comer.
Allison Tolan, Counsel for Chairman Comer. Hannah Caffey.
She's got like this smug, smart ass look on her face. And I don't know what that's all about, but she always has it. I mean, she always kind of thinks she's better than everybody on the planet. But watching her in this, when she's already no-showed one subpoena, is just very arrogant of her. She just thinks this is funny. And honestly, it's because they're all buddies. I mean, if you go and watch the video of Trump and this deposition, he's like, oh, they're my friends. I don't want them to. I'm not trying to get them deposed. I don't want them to go and talk in front of these people. I feel terrible for them. Right? These are all friends. If you don't believe that, you're just naive.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you over there. Could you please repeat your name?
Austin Hacker.
No, this gentleman here in the black.
Mark Moran,
Thank you.
Staff Director, Chairman Comer.
And the next one? Jasmine Collins, Communications Director for the Staff.
Mallory Kovar, Chief Clerk and Director of Operations, Chairman Comer. Ashley Vineyard, Deputy Staff Director for Chairman Comer.
Would the majority members please?
I can tell that's her. I forgot her name. Hillary's body double. I forgot her name. She's pretty well known. She's done interviews, but she doesn't look like Hillary. She looks like her. But I will say her body double's looking pretty good, pretty useful these days.
Please announce themselves for the record.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace, South Carolina.
Congressman Eric Burleson, Southwest Missouri. Michael Cloud, 27th District of Texas.
Lauren Boebert, Colorado Sports District. Rep. Ana Paulina Luna, Florida 13.
William Timmons, South Carolina Sports Congressional District.
Rep. John McGuire, Virginia 5th District.
Will the minority staff please identify themselves for the record? Would the minority members please announce themselves for the record?
Ranking Member Robert Garcia.
Representative Suhaas, Subramanian, Virginia.
Representative James Walkinshaw, Virginia 11.
So if someone's watching this and you know why they redacted the minority staff, I would love to know. I have no clue. That's an honest question. I have no idea why they did that.
Representative Yochanan Ansari, Arizona's 3rd District.
And I'm James Comer, Chairman of the committee from Kentucky.
Thank you all. Secretary Clinton, before we begin, I would like to go over the ground rules for this deposition. The questioning will proceed in rounds. The majority will ask questions for an hour, and then the minority will have an opportunity to ask questions for an hour if they choose. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. The clock will stop if you need to confer with counsel, your counsel is speaking, and when members or staff are speaking during the opposing side's round of questions. We will alternate back and forth until there are no more questions. Do you understand?
I do.
There is a court reporter taking down everything I say and everything you say to make a written record of the deposition. For the record to be clear, please wait until the staffer questioning you finishes each question before you begin your answer, and the staffer will wait until you finish your response before proceeding to the next question. Further, to ensure the court reporter can properly record this deposition, please speak clearly, concisely, and slowly. Also, the court reporter cannot record nonverbal answers, such as nodding or shaking your head, so it is important that you answer each question with an audible verbal answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Exhibits may be entered into the record. Majority exhibits will be identified numerically. Minority exhibits will be identified alphabetically. Do you understand?
I do.
We want you to answer our questions in the most complete and truthful manner possible, so we'll take our time. If you have any questions or do not fully understand the question, please let us know. We will attempt to clarify, add context to, or rephrase our questions. If we ask about specific conversations or events in the past and you are unable to recall the exact words or details, you should testify to the substance of those conversations or events to the best of your recollection. If you recall only a part of a conversation or event, you should give us your best recollection of those events or parts of conversations that you do recall. Do you understand?
I do.
You are required by law to answer questions from Congress truthfully. This also applies to questions posed by congressional staff in this deposition. Do you understand?
I do.
If at any time you...
She just looks so arrogant. She's just pissed off she needs to be here. I mean, if she wasn't in the Epstein files, she wouldn't be here, right? So all we want out of her maybe is just a little bit of truth. I don't know if we're going to get any, but I think that would be nice. Considering it's all laid out in the files now, you might as well tell the truth.
You knowingly make false statements, you could be subject to criminal prosecution, including but not limited to perjury. Do you understand?
I do.
This includes both knowingly providing false testimony, but also stating that you do not recall or remember something when in fact you do. Do you understand?
I do.
Furthermore, you cannot tell half-truths or exclude information necessary to make statements accurate. You are required to provide all information that would make your response truthful. A deliberate failure to disclose information can constitute a false statement. Do you understand?
I do.
Is there any reason you were unable to provide truthful testimony in today's interview?
No.
Please note that if you wish to assert a privilege over any statement today, that assertion must comply with the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Pursuant to that, Committee Rule 16C1 states, for the chair to consider assertions of privilege over testimony or statements, witnesses or entities must clearly state the specific privilege being asserted and the reason for the assertion on or before the scheduled date of testimony or appearance. For the purposes of the deposition, objections must be stated concisely and in a non-argumentative and non-suggestive manner. If the witness refuses to answer a question to preserve a privilege, the committee may seek a ruling from the chair. If the chair overrules any such objection, the witness shall be ordered to answer. If the witness continues to refuse to answer a question,
I don't know how long this is going to be. I have a feeling there's a lot of filler in here, so just a heads up, I might just fast forward some of this because it's going to take a bit if we don't.
the witness shall be ordered to answer. If the witness continues to refuse to answer a question,
Insofar as I understand,
sanction. Do you understand?
insofar as I understand the rules of privilege, I don't have any specific knowledge of your committee's ideas of privilege.
Understood. Ordinarily, we take a 5-minute break at the end of each hour of questioning, but if you need a longer break or a break before that, please let us know and we will be happy to accommodate. However, to the extent that there is a pending question, we would ask that you finish answering the question before we take a break. Do you understand?
Yes.
Finally, I will note for everyone here today that the contents of what we discuss in the deposition is confidential under the House deposition regulation. Under the rules, the chairman and ranking minority member shall consult before any release of House and committee rules to disclose the marked exhibits and any can the court.
I swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this deposition will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Do you have any other questions before we begin?
Yes, I have an opening statement that I would like to deliver before we begin. Mr. Chairman, ranking member, members of the committee, as a former United States Senator, I have respect for legislative oversight, and I expect its exercise, as do the American people, to be principled and fearless in pursuit of truth and accountability. As we all know, however, too often congressional investigations are partisan political theater, which is an abdication of duty and an insult to the American people. This committee justified its subpoena to me based on its assumption that I have information regarding the investigations into the criminal activities of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me be as clear as I can. I do not. As I stated in my sworn declaration on January 13th, I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that. Like every decent person, I've been horrified by what we have learned about their crimes. It's unfathomable that Mr. Epstein initially got a slap on the wrist in 2008, which allowed him to continue his predatory practices for another decade. Mr. Chairman, your investigation is supposed to be assessing the federal government's handling of the investigations and prosecutions of Epstein and his crimes. You subpoenaed 8 law enforcement officials, all of whom ran the Department of Justice or directed the FBI when Epstein's crimes were investigated and prosecuted. Of those 8, only 1 appeared before the committee. 5 of the 6 former attorneys general were allowed to submit brief statements.
So she's lying already, and that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid that we weren't going to get any honesty out of this stuff. This is a big game from both sides. I mean, Trump's in on this, Hillary's in on this, Obama's in on this, Bill's in on this, George Bush is in on this, kings and queens, and it's just out of control. Israel has a hold on everybody, and it's just some big game, and now we're all supposed to just believe everything we see. Come on, wake up, people. Wake up, please. If you hate Trump, go ahead and hate Trump. But you gotta hate the other side, too. Don't be stupid. Seriously, I'm looking at you straight in your face, telling you don't be dumb. Okay? If you don't like Trump, then you don't like Hillary. If you don't like Hillary, then you don't like Trump. You can't pick sides. That's where we're losing. They want us to pick sides. Everybody has to stay independent. Learn how to think for yourself. Just for once in your life. Don't be a sheep. Okay? Don't do everything they tell you to do. Don't do everything these grassroots organizations are trying to get you to do. It's a big con game so they can make more money.
Stating they had no information to provide. You have held 0 public hearings, refused to allow the media to attend them, including today, despite espousing the need for transparency on dozens of occasions. You have made little effort to call the people who show up most prominently in the Epstein files. And when you did, not a single Republican member showed up for Les Wexner's deposition.
You see what I'm saying? See how she's pointing out Republicans? She knows damn well that it was mostly Democrats inside of the Epstein files, but she's still going to try and derail this into some kind of political narrative that we can all spin and lose our minds over. Don't listen to her. She's full of crap, I promise you.
This institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official, rather than to seek truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as inform the public who want to get to the bottom of this matter. My heart breaks for the survivors, and I am furious on their behalf. I have spent my life advocating for women and girls. I have worked hard to stop the terrible abuses so many women and girls face here and around the world, including human trafficking, forced labor, domestic violence, and sexual slavery. For too long, these have been largely invisible crimes or not treated as crimes at all. But the survivors are real and they are entitled to justice. In Southeast Asia, I met girls as young as 12 years old who had been forced into prostitution and raped repeatedly. Some were dying of AIDS. In Eastern Europe, I met mothers who told me how they lost their daughters to trafficking and did not know where to turn. In settings around the world, I met survivors trying to rebuild their lives and help rescue others with...
If we didn't allegedly know what we know about her past already, if I hadn't heard so many vile things already, like you remember when she got caught bringing a busload full of kids from Haiti during that big earthquake over there? Yeah, they got caught. They had to return all the kids. Like, there's a lot behind this, and watching people like her just talk and read this stuff was like watching Ashton Kutcher try and read about saving kids while he's hanging out with Diddy. Like, open your eyes, people. This is a big game. Do not believe this bullcrap.
Little support from people in power who too often turned a blind eye and a cold shoulder. If you are new to this issue, let me tell you, Jeffrey Epstein was a heinous individual, but he's far from alone. This is not a one-off tabloid.
It's heinous, but she's reading a script and she's probably never used that word.
Sensation or political scandal. It is a global scourge with an unimaginable human toll. My work combating sex trafficking goes back to my days as First Lady. I worked to pass the first federal legislation against trafficking and was proud that my husband signed the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which increased support for survivors.
As the only president that's ever been kicked out of his presidency for sleeping with a young lady. So that's a whole nother story. But look into the Monica Lewinsky stuff. I think you'll find a bit more than you wanted to.
And gave prosecutors better tools for going after traffickers. As Secretary of State, I appointed a former federal prosecutor, Lucy DeBaca, to ramp up our global anti-trafficking efforts. I oversaw nearly 170 anti-trafficking programs in 70 nations and directly pressed foreign leaders to crack down on trafficking networks in their countries.
So the most disturbing part about this was when you're reading the Epstein files, you'll notice one thing. All of the people in his circle all ran youth advocacy stuff like saving kids from child trafficking, saving kids from poverty, saving kids, saving kids, saving kids, saving kids, human trafficking, saving kids. Do you see what I'm saying? And now she's bragging about the same thing. All these people that are taking kids are starting organizations saving kids so they have easy access to these children. It's way more disturbing than people understand. So when you hear people saying, oh, I started these human trafficking, I'm saving kids, blah, blah. No, that's not why they're starting those things, right? Read the files. It's all in there.
Every year, we published a global report to shine a light on abuses. The findings of those reports triggered sanctions on countries failing to make progress, so they became a powerful diplomatic tool to to drive concrete action. I insisted that the United States be included in the report for the first time ever in 2011, because we must hold ourselves not just to the same standard as the rest of the world, but to an even higher one. Sex trafficking and modern slavery should have no place in America. None. Infuriatingly, the Trump administration gutted the Trafficking in Persons Office at the State Department, cutting more than 70% of the career civil and foreign service experts who worked so hard to prevent trafficking crimes. The annual trafficking report, required by law.
And honestly, someone that's really gotten to know Trump over the last year or so, that wouldn't surprise me a bit. Not a bit. All these people are some vile human beings.
Was delayed for months. The message from the Trump administration to the American people and the world could not be clearer. Combating human trafficking is no longer an American priority under the Trump White House. That's a tragedy, it's a scandal, and it deserves vigorous investigation and oversight. A committee endeavoring to stopping human trafficking would seek to understand what specific steps are needed to fix a legal system that allowed Epstein to get away with his crimes. A committee run by elected officials with a commitment to transparency would ensure the full release of all the files. It would ensure that the lawful redactions of those files protected the victims and survivors, not powerful men and political allies. It would get to the bottom of reports that DOJ withheld FBI interviews in which a survivor accuses President Trump of crimes. It would subpoena anyone who asked on which night there would be the wildest party on Epstein's island. It would demand testimony from prosecutors from Florida, New York, and the Department of Justice about why they gave Epstein.
In case people missed that, that was what Elon Musk was saying in the files to Jeffrey was, when's your wildest party? Like, I'm not just here to have your typical vacation. I want a wild one. So he was trying to find out when it was really going to be popping over the island. And that is what she's referring to. So, Elon, they got you.
A sweetheart deal and chose not to pursue others who may have been implicated in his crimes. And it would demand that Secretary Rubio and Attorney General Bondi testify about why this administration is abandoning survivors and playing into the hands of traffickers. It would seek out advocates and law enforcement officials on the front lines of the fight against human trafficking and ask them what support they need. And it would put forth legislation to provide more resources and force this administration to act. But that's not happening. Instead, you have compelled me to testify, fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation, in order to distract from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers. If this committee is serious about learning the truth about Epstein's trafficking crimes, it would not rely on press gaggles to get answers from our current president on his involvement. It would ask him directly under oath about the tens of thousands of times he shows up in the Epstein files. If the majority was serious, it would not waste time on fishing expeditions.
This ain't about Trump. This is why this stuff gets annoying to me. She's going to try and derail everything to Trump. Trump probably was in there 10,000 times. Trump is a weirdo. Mar-a-Lago was just like Epstein Island. Okay? I mean, if anyone thinks Trump's innocent at this point, you're just dumb and naive. So if you want to play stupid, I guess play stupid, but I mean, that's all that is. But watching Hillary point fingers to try and get stuff off of her, that's so just immature and childish. Like, you're a grown woman. Answer the questions and let's go home. This is a waste of time when you're talking about Donald Trump. Who cares?
There is too much to be done. What is being held back? Who is being protected? And why the cover-up? So my challenge to you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee is the same challenge I put to myself throughout my long service to this nation. How to be worthy of the trust of the American people that they have given to you. They expect statesmanship, not gamesmanship, leading, not grandstanding. And they expect you to use your power to get to the truth and to do more to help survivors of Epstein's crimes, as well as the millions.
So, does she think we forgot about WikiLeaks or something? Like, I think she really thinks that we forgot she's a criminal. This is weird watching her speak with such conviction when she knows we know. You know we know, right, Hillary? You know the whole world knows who you are. We know that you deleted the emails. We know that you hung out with Marina Abranovich, whatever, the spirit cooker, weird Satanist. We already know about Podesta and the Wiener laptop and all the stuff connected to you. Why are you playing dumb? We know you're a criminal. We know you're a snake. So you're going to try and be like, oh, well, he's a bigger snake? No, you're all snakes. Every one of you.
More who are victims of sex trafficking in this country and around the world. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would also like to request that the video of this deposition be made available within 24 hours, as it has been for other witnesses.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The time reads 11:34 a.m. The majority's time will begin now. Madam Secretary, in the interest of efficiency here today, I'm going to ask you one question followed by a list of names. The question can be answered yes or no. If you do indicate yes to any individual, I will come back and revisit that at the end. The question is, have you ever communicated with any of the following people relating to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
Now, you see how that was framed? Okay, what a very, very weird way to frame that question. So basically, they're laying it out right now. Have you talked to any of these people? They're not going to ask her, do you know this person that you're connected to that knows Jeffrey Epstein and also is part of your group? They're not going to say it that way. They're going to say, have you talked to any of these people about Jeffrey Epstein? So she's just going to say, no, because that's such a roundabout, weird question to ask that it leaves just open windows to climb out of. So she is not going to be genuine at all when it comes to this. Now, if they would have said, hey, now I'm going to ask you names, you tell me if you are associated with those people or not. That's where you start. But they're not going to do that because this is a game and they want to play the game. Trump's already got this set up for Hillary, so she'll be just fine. I promise you.
Richard Kahn.
No.
Darren N. Dyke.
No.
Sarah Kellen.
No.
See.
Doug Band.
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall? Just keep saying yes or no. Not that I recall? Well, if I recall, Doug Band worked on your husband's committee for 20 years. Helped you guys with your foundation. So do you want to change your answer? Because we know as well as, all of us at home aren't that stupid, are we? You expect us to really believe that you don't know who Doug Band is when he was literally working with your husband for years? Strange. Sounds legit.
Lawrence Summers.
No.
Huma Abedin.
Have I ever?
Literally. Oh my God. Literally her best friend. Like, that's like... If she's talked to anybody about this, it's her. That little vile, evil little devil that she hangs out with, she was married to Anthony Weiner when he had the laptop situation, just to put her in perspective. Now I think she's with Soros or something. So if that doesn't paint a better picture of what kind of scumbag she is, but that is one of Hillary's best friends. So don't let her lie to you. Anything she says about Aberdeen, she's lying.
Talk to her about this in preparation for this hearing I have.
Outside of that,
Not that I recall.
Not that she recalls. So you'll notice the different answers. There's no yes, there's no no. It's just no, 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 no. And then it's not that I recall. Not that you recall. Where does that even come from? Is that your third answer? What is that?
Noam Chomsky,
No.
Leslie Groff,
No.
Nadia Marcinkova,
No.
John Luke Brunel,
No. I don't know most of these people.
Yeah, never heard
Should
of
I
them,
tell
right?
you that I know who they are, or just tell you I never talked to them?
just so you never talked to
Okay.
him, it's fine. Alan Dershowitz,
No.
Never heard of them.
Kathy Rumler,
No.
Bill Richardson,
No.
Oh, God.
George Mitchell,
No.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew,
No.
Never heard of them. Who's that?
Peter Mandelson,
No.
Reed Hoffman,
No.
Karina Shuliak,
No.
Bill Gates,
No.
Who's that?
Ehud Barak,
No.
Woody Allen,
No.
This can't be real.
Sandy Berger,
No.
Jess Staley,
No.
Oh, my God.
Paul Morris,
No.
I told you this is going to be a joke. I told you. Like, she's literally lying about every single one. She's connected very closely to a handful of those people. And that is, I can't believe she has the nerve to even say, do you think people aren't going to go do their research? That's so disrespectful for you to, this just shows me how you look at people, how you look at the average human being. You must think we're all just dumb little ant farm, bunch of little scumbags who can't think for ourselves. You would never be this disrespectful towards the American people if you actually cared about them.
Leon Black,
No.
Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayam,
No.
Never heard of them.
Leslie Wexner,
No.
Jack Kessler,
No.
Mark Middleton,
No.
Harvey Weinstein,
No.
Ellie de Rothschild,
No.
Ariane de Rothschild,
No.
She works directly with the Rothschilds. They literally help fund her campaign. Especially Linda Rothschild. I just can't even dude.
Lynn Forrester de Rothschild,
No.
any other
You are lying through your fucking teeth. Dude, you are such a disrespectful little dude.
members of the de Rothschild family?
No.
What's the hesitation for? No. We know why. We know. You wouldn't even be who you are without the Rothschilds. And you're going to sit here and lie to the American people about, I don't know. Who? Never even heard of them. Who were they?
Glenn Dubin,
No.
Eva Anderson Dubin,
No.
Casey Wasserman,
No.
Larry Visoki,
No.
Now
Dave-
that's the pilot. That's Jeffrey Epstein's pilot. That's who flies his jet back and forth that flew the Lolita Express for like 20 years, like a long time. So if she was to acknowledge him, she'd be acknowledging the pilot of the jet, which obviously she's not going to do that.
David Rogers,
No,
Ira Magaziner,
no,
Daniel Gilbert,
no,
Karen Ewing,
no,
Stacy Plaskett,
not that I recall.
Not that I recall, and then grabs her pen out of nerves. That's, man, she's lying so much under oath that anybody else did this, they'd be in jail right away. They'd probably just cut this thing short, lock them up, throw them straight in jail. But she can do whatever she wants. She can lie, be all fidgety, write down her little words on her paper as she lies, because she doesn't have a clue. She's not doing a very good job at lying. Let's just put it that way.
Howard Lutnick,
No, not that I recall.
Not that I've never heard of him. Who's that?
Steve
Jeffrey's
Bannon,
neighbor?
I don't know if I've ever met him. You all have to introduce me.
I take that as a no.
Just to,
Did he just say Steve Bannon? If he said Steve Bannon and she made that comment, that's rather disturbing. She definitely knows who Steve Bannon is. You're going to have to introduce me. It's a very vile thing to say, considering that that's one of Jeffrey Epstein's closest friends. So her playing stupid is just backfiring. I think a lot of these people, she might not even know who they are, but literally there's like 10 of these people that she knows very well. And that's where, I mean, you can't just lie about some of it and then tell the truth and expect people to not realize you're lying.
be absolutely clear, you've asked if I've ever communicated about Jeffrey Epstein, a man I never met, with any of these people, most of whom I've never heard of and certainly not met.
See, she had to make that clear because she's lying. And she wanted people to know, I'm not lying. The question was, have I talked to these people, my friends, about Jeffrey Epstein? I'm not saying I don't know these people, because she obviously does. But I'm just saying, I don't talk to them about Jeffrey. And if I do, I'm not going to tell you guys that. But I just want you to know that I'm free and clear because I don't talk to these people about that subject. Because that's what you asked. You're not asking if I know these people.
That's the premise of your question.
Mr. Epstein or Mrs. Maxwell.
You did not say that.
I did say that in the beginning. I will repeat the question.
No, that's okay, but I didn't talk about her with any of these people.
See how she had to, you didn't say that. See, she had to point that out because she's like, wait, no, that wasn't part of the deal. This has to be framed the correct way so she looks innocent. If not, then, oh my gosh, she's in trouble. Yeah, right. I'll be honest. Most people that watch this at home are going to just brush it off, believe half the stuff she says, be puppets and sheep, and just keep their head in the clouds. And they're not going to learn anything. But I'm here to tell you, don't do that. Don't pick her side. Don't pick Trump's. Think for yourself. These people are evil.
People either. I barely knew her.
David Gergen.
No.
Elon Musk.
No.
Abigail Johnson.
No.
Jeff Bezos.
No.
Larry Page.
No.
Sergey Brin.
No.
Louis Freeh.
No.
A new member arrived. Would they please introduce themselves for the record?
Wesley Bell, Missouri First Congressional District.
Thank you, sir.
Can I understand, could you read back the initial premise of your question? Because I too did not hear.
Yes, ma'am. Have you ever communicated with any of the following people relating to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
I didn't hear the Maxwell piece, but we could ask her. It doesn't matter. It's the same answer, but I did not hear the Maxwell name in there.
Understood.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he did. As much as I know she's up to no good, I don't think he said Maxwell in the beginning.
So was the last name you said Larry Page?
It was Sergey Brin.
Same thing. She's like, I don't know who any of
The
these
last name I
billionaires
stated
are.
was Louis Frey. You indicated no, is that correct?
I think, do you need free?
Free, yes, ma'am.
Louis
No.
Free.
No,
And Sarah Kay.
no. And these are all, to the best of my recollection, as I say, many of these people I've never heard of. Most of these people I've never had a relationship with, although I know their name. Some of them are deceased. But I was not communicating about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell
And we won't get into why those people are deceased, will we? Yeah, we'll leave that alone.
understand what you're asking me, contacting people about them. That did not happen.
Is there anyone that you had a conversation with about Ghislaine Maxwell?
Oh, I'm sure I've talked about Ghislaine Maxwell, and especially in preparation for this hearing.
Probably talk to her directly.
And outside of conversations with your counsel, what did you talk about Miss Maxwell?
I don't recall any conversations about Miss Maxwell, but I knew her casually, so I can't tell you that I never had a conversation that mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell's name, because I don't recall that.
Understood. And you say that you knew Miss Maxwell casually. What does that mean?
Just what I said. I knew her primarily as someone who dated someone that I knew.
And who was
Would that happen to be Jeffrey Epstein? Now, she's not going to say that. She's going to say someone else. But she didn't have casual friends, okay? They either blackmailed people or the people just hung around with them because they were vile characters just like she was. She didn't have acquaintances. That's not how she rolled. So when she's trying to say, oh, I just knew her, no. That's not how they roll. You're either in or you're out. So don't play stupid, Hillary.
was that individual?
Ted Waite.
And who was Ted Waite?
Ted Waite was a successful, as I recall, software developer.
And roughly when would the first time Miss Maxwell would have come up in relation to Mr. Waite?
I don't recall, but, perhaps sometime around 2010, because he was invited to my daughter's wedding and she was his guest.
Have you ever spoken with Miss Maxwell personally yourself?
I'm sure I have, yes.
Could you estimate on how many occasions?
Not many. I didn't see her very often.
It's like only when I was visiting the island. Other than that, I never really saw her.
When would the first occasion have been?
I have no recollection.
Did your first interaction with Miss Maxwell occur while President Clinton was president of the United States and you were First Lady of the United States?
No, I do not recall ever meeting her while Bill was still in the White House.
Did Mr. Waite ever inform you what Miss Maxwell did for a living?
Not that I recall.
Not that she recalls. She doesn't recall certain things.
Did anyone ever indicate to you what Miss Maxwell did for a living?
Not that I recall.
Not that she recalls. Nah.
When would the last time have been that you either communicated with Miss Maxwell, even if not directly yourself, but been around Miss Maxwell?
The best of my recollection is at the wedding in 2010.
Would you consider Miss Maxwell a friend?
No,
Would you consider her a friend of President Clinton?
he'll have to answer that.
Mm.
Would you consider Miss Maxwell a friend of your daughter?
She probably was friendlier with her than I was because I didn't see her very often.
Now that's disturbing. Why would your daughter be hanging out with people like Ghislaine Maxwell? Huh, Hillary? Please explain to us why she would even be. Now, if you knew her, I mean, you're a couple adults. And I know Chelsea's growing up now. But that's rather disturbing.
How often would your daughter have seen Miss Maxwell?
I have no idea.
It was her babysitter.
But again, it was in the context of her being in a relationship with Ted Waite.
Anyone else in your family have a relationship of some kind with Miss Maxwell?
Well, that's my family. You asked about Bill and Chelsea.
Said anyone else?
And just to make clear for the record, have you ever met Jeffrey Epstein?
Not that I
I do not recall ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein. In preparation for this hearing, I was told that he attended an event at the White House that was put on by the White House Historical Association. But I have no recollection of that.
Just remember, if Miss Hillary cannot recall, there's probably a reason, because she has no problem saying no about the things that she feels like she can lie about with confidence. But if she thinks there might be a video or a picture that might pop up later that's going to make her seem like a liar, then she's going to not recall. That way, just in case later on, she can be like, oh, now I recall.
And only that one time at the White House Historical Association?
That's the only time that I'm aware of that I might have possibly been in the same room with him.
Did you have an initial impression of Mr. Epstein?
I have no recollection of Mr. Epstein. I'm just told that he was in a room at a dinner that we were hosting for the White House Historical Association.
What was your understanding of what Mr. Epstein did for work?
I knew nothing about him. He was there as an invited guest by the White House Historical Association. That's my best recollection.
And no one else informed you of what Mr. Epstein did for work?
No, but we had hundreds and thousands of people who came to the White House. I was not informed of what people did or didn't do for work, especially someone that I never even had a conversation with.
Do you know who invited Mr. Epstein to the White House?
I can only tell you what I know, which is that he apparently was a guest invited by the White House Historical Association to attend a dinner to thank people who gave money to the White House Historical Association for the upkeep and maintenance of the White House. That's what I was informed of in preparation for coming here.
Yes, ma'am. And understanding we focused the last few questions on your time in the White House with President Clinton. After that time period of President Clinton's administration, did anyone ever tell you what Mr. Epstein did for a living?
I don't recall ever talking about Mr. Epstein. He was not on my radar. He was not somebody that I had any connection to.
I've never heard of him. I mean, my husband and me, we'd like to fly off to his island and, you know, go grooming and hang out a little bit, maybe swim, go on the jet skis and, you know, go snorkeling and hang out in the dentist chair and do rituals on the, you know, in his temple and get massages. But I mean, I don't know who he is. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
When President Clinton was traveling with Mr. Epstein on Clinton Foundation business, no one associated with the foundation at that time discussed Mr. Epstein with you?
Not that I recall. I was not involved with the foundation. I was a senator from New York, and I was deeply committed to my work, and it became one of the most intense experiences of my life when we were attacked on 9/11. I was not involved with what was happening to create the foundation, to create the work that was done to get low-cost drugs for AIDS. I knew about the work. I didn't know.
She doesn't know that we know what happened on 9/11. Are you not reading the files, Hillary? We know. We saw the picture of George Bush holding the paper airplanes and the 2 Jenga towers crumbled. We've already seen it in the files. We already know what happened on 9/11. We heard Finkelstein talk about what happened on 9/11, how his boss, Ari, gave the call. Like, we know about the 3,000 Jewish people that called in that day and didn't go to work. We've already figured all that out, Hillary. So why would you bring that up? Oh, because you're not on our team. Gotcha.
Know about the details.
Understood. And to be clear, you never had any communication yourself with Mr. Epstein, whether that be face-to-face interaction, phone calls, emails, text messages?
You can answer it again.
I have no recollection in any way of ever having any conversation at the White House or in any other place.
No recollection. She does not recall. Remember, those are our code words here. No recollection, and she doesn't recall. If she says yes or no, then you might be getting an honest answer. But once you hear no recollection and I don't recall, you know Miss Hillary's lying.
Or on any kind of device of any sort. I knew nothing about him.
She's a bad liar.
When did you learn of Mr. Epstein's 2006 indictment and subsequent arrest leading to his incarceration in 2008?
I have no idea. I was not paying attention. I was running for re-election in 2006. I ran for president in 2007, 2008. I don't know that I ever learned about it until much later when more things came out about it.
Understood. And when did you first learn of Mr. Epstein's arrest in 2019?
Probably when it happened, because it was headline news. I'm sure I, like everybody else, saw it in the press.
And in seeing that in the press, did you discuss Mr. Epstein or his case at the time with anyone?
I'm sure we did, because it was a, big story.
And Mr. Epstein died in custody following his 2019 arrest. When would you have learned of his death?
Whenever it was reported.
Going back slightly, a question. You said you likely would have talked to someone regarding his arrest in 2019. Who would you have discussed that with?
Whoever was around. I mean, it was a big story, as you recall. It was a very big story. I don't have any specific recollections. It wasn't something that I was particularly focused on, but it was a big story.
And going back to Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell, when did you learn of her arrest in 2021?
Again, whenever it was reported as happening.
And did you discuss that with anyone?
I'm sure I did. It was another big story.
She's like, I don't know. I mean, whenever it came out, I don't know these people. I don't get any kind of inside information. You act like I know things before you would. You know, just because I'm Hillary Clinton doesn't mean I know people. Jesus.
And who would those discussions have been with?
I don't have any specific recollection.
So moving forward in time just a little bit, you were Secretary of State under President Obama, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And it was during his first term, 2009 to 2013?
That's correct.
And after you completed your time as Secretary of State, did you return in any role to the Clinton Foundation?
I did. I became active in it at that point.
And by being active in it, could you describe that for us, please?
Tried to support the work that Bill and my daughter and the team had done, and, you know, look for ways to be helpful.
You mean like Doug Bands, the guy that you don't know? Oh, yeah.
It you know, was something that I wanted to make sure I could support.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. You were you rejoined as a board member, is that right?
It may have been the first time I was a board member. I don't remember. Either the first or the second time. Yeah.
And speaking of, sounds like you were heavily involved when you returned to the foundation, or I guess started with the foundation at this point. In trying to accomplish those goals and initiatives, what were you doing, you know, broadly speaking, on a daily basis, monthly basis, that sort of thing?
Well, I wanted to start a program about early learning for kids, and so we started something called Too Small to Fail, which I was very actively involved in with my daughter, and we worked with pediatricians and other people to help parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles read, talk, and sing to their children so that they could help build brain cells. That was a major priority of mine, and I'm very proud of what we've built and the difference that it's made in, you know, millions of kids' lives. I certainly did what I could to support the work that we do overseas through the Clinton Global Initiative, which has had a terrific track record of bringing people together to work in partnerships, to make commitments, to try to improve everything from, you know, clean water to solar energy to improved education, all of the priorities that the partners we have bring to us that we try to help them with.
And thank you for that, Madam Secretary. We've had a few members join us. Would you guys please announce yourselves for the record?
Yes, Pat Fallon, 4th District of Texas. Scott Perry, 10th District of Pennsylvania.
Thank you both.
You're the last person.
Mr. Perry, Scott Perry.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I feel like we might have seen enough of this, but I mean, all I can say is don't expect these people to tell the truth. They're not going to. It doesn't matter if it's Trump, if it's Bill, if it's Obama, if it's Hillary, if it's Bush, Gerald Ford, Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan. It doesn't matter. You can go all the way back to George Washington. This is a big game that you guys are all involved in, and you don't even know it. You're the pawns of the game, and you don't even know you're playing the game. That's how bad it is. So just remember, these people do not have your interest in mind. They have their own interest, and as long as that interest is protected by whoever, left, right, doesn't matter, then they will always ride together. As long as they're protecting the interest in the long run, you know, the game plan in the long run, if they're protecting that, then all of their political interests, then it all aligns. There is no left and right. That's for us. That's for us people, us goyim, as Israel says, to fight over each other. We personally, as humans, we don't have a team. Okay? It's them against us. There is no left and right. They want us to fight over politics and religion. That's all they want. They want to keep us divided and cause dogma. Dogma ends every single society that's ever existed. It always ends over this weird belief system fighting over what's right, which is left and right, red and blue, politics and religion. So grow up, people. Learn to think for yourself. Please subscribe. I'm Dramatic. This is Shoot the Messenger. And please don't buy into none of this. This is all such bullcrap. I swear this is not what you think. Until next time, I'll see you later. Peace.